Speaking of Chase, we'll move on and segue to our next subject. Chase acts an ass. Kyle Larson. Is the sports just supposed to cover this up for Chase? Because Bob Pockers asked him in an interview if he was trying to make a statement, and Chase played dumb and said that there was nothing going on. We've discussed many times before Chase Elliott and his actions and whether or not the guy's having a tough season. What I was going to say is whether or not he's the best driver in his own garage. And I think most of us can agree he's maybe second best, probably third best in the garage. William Byron has definitely come alive. He's definitely the driver that I suspected him to be from the beginning. I believe my colleagues expected big things from William Byron as well. But this is an ongoing thing between him and Kyle Larson, and I really think that we should dig a little deeper tonight and find out where we stand on, first of all, should we help Chase cover up his bad attitude? And second of all, should we continue to ignore the fact that these two drivers don't necessarily like each other and they're in the same garage? I'll start with you, Ms. Lee. I think this is a little bit more of a PowerPoint for your end, so I'll let you begin this discussion.
Well, I personally loved the Danielle Trotta clip that got shared in our chat. And I couldn't agree with her more. Chase, there's something off with Chase this year, definitely. You know, from his poor decision-making in his personal life to his antics on track. And you're right, he doesn't like Kyle Larson. And you know what? I've been a Kyle Larson fan for a long time, but I'm not so sure I like Kyle Larson all that much anymore either. But your teammates, and if you can't, you don't have to like each other, but you have to respect each other. And
yes.
Kyle is in the Chase. Chase is not. So Chase needs to step back and shut up and sit down.
Ms. Lee, do we have to have permission to play what Danielle Trotta had to say, or can we just wing it, or what? I mean, it is Fair Use Act, correct?
I think it was publicly posted. I mean, as long as we're giving credit to her, we can certainly play it.
Yeah, definitely. I want to play that because I think it's pretty important here. Hold on.
That's why you door slam somebody. To tell them you're not happy. And by the way, both of those via Bob Pockers from Fox Sports. So thank you for getting reaction, asking the questions that needed to be asked post-race. Totally unacceptable, Chase Elliott. And no one's going to convince me of this otherwise. Chase Elliott does not like Kyle Larson. And I think this goes all the way back to last year and the incident at Watkins Glen. And I don't think Chase has been right since with his teammate. How do you not cut your teammate any slack when he's in a driver championship race? Larry, what if he would have cut Larson's tire? What if the tire goes down? And Kyle Larson, on the ensuing restart, has major damage, gets up into the wall, wrecks, spins out, causes a huge crash.
I don't want to get in trouble for playing too much of something, so we're gonna cut the feed from that. But what basically she's discussing is the fact that it is recognizable that these two drivers do not like each other, and obviously there's been some loss of respect because Kyle Larson is chasing a championship. I know he got to win, but every point counts. I mean, at what point in time, Rick Hendrick stood in front of everybody and said, "You're not going to wreck my boy." Well, when is Rick Hendrick going to come to the table and defend his guy who's racing for a championship? You're not going to wreck my boy. Obviously, Jeff Gordon was pretty pissed off about it from everything that I've heard about it. Ms. Lee.
And again, you know, we want to give full credit to Danielle Trotta for that piece. We did not ask permission, but it was posted publicly, so we're hoping that There's no repercussions to that. But again,
yeah, we stay within 30 seconds.
Yeah, and and again, yeah, she raises the point of what happened at Watkins Glen, and again, I'm just saying, Kyle's in the chase. Chase is not. Chase needs to step back. I know he wants to win a race, but you don't retaliate against a teammate who's in the chase when you're not. I don't care. And that was nothing but pure retaliation in my mind.
Taylor.
They got to look at the bigger picture of this. Chase Elliott is only racing for the owners' playoffs, which I get in the sense, he's in the same situation as Kyle Larson on that side. But the bigger picture is Kyle Larson's running for the Drivers' Championship. Yes, he's locked into the next round, but as you said, Chris, every point matters. There's got to come a time where you have to put your personal ego aside, regardless of whatever it is, and you two are teammates. You have to work with each other. And plus, at the same time, I'm sure he looked back in the replay and was like, and pretty much felt stupid about it because Brad got in Larson's way. It's not like Larson purposely soared Elliott on pit road. All Larson was doing was adjusting to the situation at hand.
So let's further this conversation. Let's take this back a little bit. So Jeff Gordon became kind of the team captain there at Hendrick Motorsports after he retired from racing. Chase Elliott's been signed at Hendrick Motorsports, I believe, probably as early as 2000, maybe 10, something like that. He was still a 15-year-old late model driver who won that Snowball Derby, I believe, at 15 years old. So many times in sports, you have a certain general manager that comes along, right? Especially in football, they didn't necessarily draft that quarterback. And so you got to just go out there and you pick your own team around, but you wait for that opportunity to get rid of the player that, that basically you didn't draft, you didn't have anything to do with. Is that what's on Chase Elliott's plate right now? Because Jeff Gordon obviously is senior. If his relationship is not good with Chase Elliott, and what I think that creates this issue is the fact that Jeff Gordon had a big hand in bringing Kyle Larson in, right? And I think he had a big hand in bringing William Byron in as well. And if you'll see that quickly, the 9 machine became Chase Elliott went and changed his number to the 9. I am not sure that Jeff Gordon was very happy that Chase Elliott took the 24 in the first place. It was really funny how William Byron, after 1 year, William Byron comes up and he takes over the 24 car. William Byron was probably picked a little bit later in Jeff Gordon's career. Jeff got to see Chase and probably compared himself a lot to Chase Elliott, right? Jeff Gordon was a very young man when he signed on it at Hendrick Motorsports. Not as young, of course, as William Byron, but still a young man nonetheless. I don't know, probably could be really close to age, as a matter of fact. So, no, I'm thinking about William Byron on that one. But anyway, Chase Elliott. So he could very well have already formed an unpopular opinion for the most popular driver in NASCAR. Do you guys feel like if he's bringing bad terms on Jeff Gordon, the likelihood that Hendrick Motorsports could very well send Chase packing later on in his contract? I would like to know, Ms. Lee.
Well, if he continues with this attitude, and disrespect, then, yeah, I could see them cutting him loose. But by the same token, he's a legacy driver. And he is the most popular driver.
Right.
So you've got to factor those kind of things into it, too. Because, let's face it, he's got a huge fan base. And, you know, him being with Hendrick and driving the 9 it is a big factor in that. You know,
but we got to go back to this time, Miss Lee. We got to go back to the time where you had Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane, and Dale Earnhardt. You had a packed house of nothing but influential, crazy about drivers. We remember the campaign with Casey Kane. Girls,
right.
Everybody, they were all. I mean, Casey Kane was a big freaking deal. Yeah, Dale Earnhardt, I'm sorry, most popular driver in racing, alongside with Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson. The big heads all learned how to get along with each other. It's got to be disgusting to Jeff Gordon to look at a teammate of a team, and you know, look, it's not like Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson always seen eye to eye either. But is it important for Jeff Gordon to have a good relationship with Chase Elliott if they're going to continue on?
That is a very important question, you know, especially in the role that that Jimmy has right now. And if he feels that personal feelings aside, if he feels that Chase is not meshing with the team, then he's going to say, go. Good luck.
Right. See, now we're digging it. We're digging the ditch. Here we go. Taz Taylor, she said what I wanted her to say. It took a minute to get there. What do you feel, man? The question, of course, is in this topic of, does Jeff Gordon and Chase Elliott have to have a good relationship in order to continue on? Because Jeff Gordon is the Hendrick. Hendrick was able to keep his drivers all in line. Biggest heads on the planet, all out of the same racing group. Now, so it's like the Yankees when you wear the pinstripes. It doesn't matter what problems you had anywhere else. Once you're a Yankee, and you act the Yankee way. That's the kind of atmosphere that it is at Hendrick Motorsports. How important is it to have a good relationship from Jeff Gordon and Chase Elliott, and is that possible by the way Chase Elliott's acting here lately?
You have to have a good relationship. It's essentially, let's put it this way. Hendrick Motorsports is, for instance, as you said, Chris, I mean, the New York Yankees, right? You're say the head coach for the Yankees, in this case, is Jeff Gordon. Your players are Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Alex Bowman, blah, blah, blah. If there is not a good relationship between the player and coach, why is the player there? You need to have a good relationship with your coach, because if you don't, it doesn't look good on you, doesn't look good on the team, doesn't look on the entire organization at all. And of course they're going to find a way to release you or be hard on negotiations when it comes to contract stuff, you know. And if you try to go to another team and they kind of know your reputation, they're going to know about it, and you're going to be harder to sign.
Yeah, I think this is the box that Kurt Busch put himself into, right? When he no longer could be as talented as Kurt Busch was, there was a time where everybody was afraid to mess with him, right? After he got fired from Penske. People were hesitant on hiring him as a driver. Of course, he rebounded and worked at it the hard way to become great again. And, you know, unfortunately, a head injury shortened his career. But you know, we did get to see the comeback of Kurt Busch, now known as the Outlaw, right? He changed his image and everything. So it is possible to save Chase and the relationship at Hendrick Motorsports. But I think the Yankees comparison is right on track, right? Because once you start with the cancer in the garage, what happens, Taz? What happens, Miss Lee? The cancer spreads, right? Everybody becomes self-centered. And if Chase is the big head, if Chase is the self-centered, and I told you guys, like anybody who flies to work every day is separating themselves from normal people, right? Because normal people don't fly to work. Now the rich do and the privileged do, and that's what Chase has been. He's been a rich, privileged kid, you know.
Exactly.
And now it's all coming to head.